awkward scene you've ever had to act out on Supernatural?
Being Sam and Dean, being Jensen and Jared, being Sam and Dean.
That and Nutcracker. Because the machine worked. No, so they were like, we did several, like, I would stand behind it, and they'd push the button, and it would go, I was like, oh! So then I had to stand there in those ski boots, and they started out with it where it was going to end up. And so I stood.
Yeah, it had a stopping point.
Yeah, but you say that to somebody, like, don't worry, it'll stop right before it gets you. Just don't lean your hips forward. But in the whole scene, I'm talking to Dean, I'm like, so they're like, okay, so we're gonna load it, and so they put it down to the thing, and I was like, okay, I'm not going. And so I'm like, okay, I'm not moving. But then there's the whole part where they ask Jensen a question, he breaks into Japanese, and I realized that scene's going, I'm kind of like looking at him and then looking at the girls, and I was like, oh crap, I moved. I don't remember where like the spot is. So that was very awkward and mortifying. I was like sweating real sweat.
I wish the cameras were on when they showed us. Like they call us a set, and so we're like, we walk up and we're like, okay, they're like, hey, we want to just show you what this is gonna look like. And so we hit the button, and it was like, wham! And Jared and I were like, nope. I think Jared just walked away. He's like, nope, not gonna happen. Like, no, it's like, you know, it's got steel plates of reinforcement, and I'm like, yeah, what happens if it just bends a little? And Jared's like, what happens if it just bends a little?
What if you shot in the face?
What if you shot in the face?
Speaking of, another, herpexia was also funny. And yellow fever, the snake.
You were scared.
Yes, I took off.
It was on me.
But it goes so, it's like. I literally left. They had to like change the camera angle. I was
The
like.
size of the snake's head was bigger than my fist. Yeah, and I turned around. Here's the problem. The snake wrangler, who was laying down behind the couch.
It was like 180 pounds or something like that.
It was a 180-pound python. And he was supposed to just gingerly feed it over the couch. Just guide it right over the couch and you know, over my shoulder. I started hearing this like grunting going on. The snake is not cooperating with its handler. And I kind of look over the couch, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but he's doing this. He's like trying to throw this, he's kicking it, he's like punching it, and I'm like, don't send that my way! I got 180 pounds of pissed off snake.
And the way the scene was written was Sam was supposed to be like laughing at his brother's discomfort, but I was like, this is terrifying, I'm out of here. So I just walked up.
I was like, log coming over my shoulder. And Jared just gets up and like, no. Not doing it. Meanwhile, it's like, okay, well, I can't move. Because I'm frozen in terror right now.
It was the first time I've ever just flat out refused to do something that's in the script. And I didn't think
You didn't even have to do anything.
I know. But I didn't think I was going to refuse it, but I was like, nope, I'm gone. And so I walked out, and I ended up in Video Village where the director sits. Phil looked at me, and he's like, hey, you're supposed to be in there. And I was like, he didn't question or push me. I think he just saw it in my face and was like, okay, I guess go tie it around Jensen. So we couldn't see that Sam was no longer sitting on the couch.
And what you didn't see, they actually cut away. But you know, we see the snake come over my chest and kind of down, and it actually went right between my legs. And I'm not moving at this point. I'm just like, just let it do what it's gonna do. Just let it run its course. I'm not moving. And it did. It went right and all, and just right down, and the whole 9 feet of it. What's happening right here?
Was that for you then, the awkward things to film?
Yeah, I didn't like that. or the bees. Hey guys, we just need to make sure you're not allergic to bees. And if you get stung,
How do you do that?
And you get stung, you're not going to go into anaphylactic shock. What? How do you do that? You like, smear something on you? Like, actually, we're just going to take this bee and stick you with it. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, it's only a 3/4 sting. And I'm not kidding. So they put this little piece of mesh on your skin, and then they hold a live bee with tweezers, and then they just stick the stinger, and it goes just through the mesh enough to get like half its stinger in you, and then they pull it out. It doesn't come off the bee, so the bee's fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because now I just got stung by a bee, and I've got this welt now happening on my arm. And they're like, okay, it's been 30 minutes, you're fine. I'm like, yeah, except for this, goiter on my arm.
It's also funny because they've asked us to do some wacky stuff on Supernatural. Jump out of this window. Don't worry, I know you can't see, but there's going to be a pad you're going to land on 12 feet down. You're like, cool. Like, spin this car into a 360, and then you're fighting this guy. Ram your head through that wall. And we're like, cool. We're like, we're going to sting with the bee. We're like, no.
But then to make things worse, it's like, okay guys, time to go into set. And we walk in, all of the crew have bee outfits on. Guess what? Sam and Dean don't get to wear bee outfits. They're in regular clothing. And then the bee wrangler. On the day of shooting, I'm like, how many we talking here? Like a couple hundred? He's like, there's actually 60,000. I'm like,
but don't worry, they're drone bees.
Anaphylactic shock.
They're drone bees. They're not going to sting you
unless you piss them off. Bees, as long as you stay calm, they're calm. And I'm like, okay, stay calm. Wait a minute. When they yell action, I have a blowtorch.
And we're supposed to be swatting
cool with that? And he goes, oh.
And then we're like, well, what about, so you're going to release 60,000 bees, but then we're going to go back to the beginning of the scene where there were no bees for like take 2 and take 3 at different camera angles. He's like, yeah, we're going to vacuum them up. I was like, doesn't that piss him off? He's like, only if we do it a bunch of times. A bunch like, 20 or 30. He's like, yeah, if we do it like 3 or 4 times, they're going to be a little angry. We're like, we're going to do it like 12, 15 times.
Needless to say, we got stung. I remember just before Kim, our director, just before he yelled action, they were like, okay, roll sound, and they're all over the place. Roll sound, okay, and then the camera system comes up, he's like, okay, 34 Baker, take 2. They have a marker, they run off, and I'm like kind of crouched down, and I'm like kind of flicking bees, they're on me, just landing on me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, find a happy place. And they're like, okay, ready, and just before he yelled action, boom! One had gone right up my shirt and got me right on the upper part of my seat. Took it. And he was like, ready, and I was like, wait! And I reached back there and actually pulled the stinger out. I was like, okay! And then the worst part about it, the bees didn't read on film, so they ended up making it with CGI anyway. The good old days.
Thank you for asking.
I'm getting tired of telling that story. Thanks.